King Uzziah ruled Judah for 52 years. When he died, the nation lost its longest-serving monarch, leaving behind a sudden, destabilizing vacuum of earthly political power. But for the prophet Isaiah, that local political anxiety is instantly shattered. He is slammed into a supernatural reality, a space so overwhelmingly massive and fiercely illuminated that it completely breaks any human sense of scale. He doesn't even see the full figure of the Lord. He just sees the hem of his robe. And that single fragment of fabric is so immense that it physically floods the entire colossal architecture of the temple. Hovering above the throne are the Seraphim. These are bizarre, six-winged entities. 2 wings cover their faces, 2 cover their feet, and with 2 they hold themselves aloft in the brilliant light. And they are loud. The sheer acoustic force of their voices calling out to one another causes massive stone thresholds to violently shake, while the entire room chokes with heavy smoke. This environment is a volatile force. It offers no tranquility. Instead, it presents a physical threat to anything human that dares to stand in its path. Trapped in this space, Isaiah freezes. He immediately recognizes a fatal problem, his own imperfection. He cries out that he is a man of unclean lips, living among a population of unclean lips. This diagram illustrates the structural conflict. When an impure, jagged presence is forced into a core of absolute perfection, the friction becomes a destructive force, physically breaking down the intruder. When Isaiah screams, "I am ruined," he is stating a literal clinical diagnosis. His proximity to this purity is beginning to dissolve his very existence. Suddenly, one of the massive seraphim breaks formation and dives straight for him. But it isn't carrying a weapon. In its hands are heavy iron tongs, gripping a superheated, glowing coal. The coal was taken directly from the altar. It is an object of intense, searing heat, intended to accomplish the work of survival through the application of pain. The seraph presses the burning coal directly to Isaiah's mouth. It is an excruciating action, searing away the impurity he just confessed. The pain is the exact physical cost of neutralizing his guilt. Notice the sequence of events. Isaiah couldn't fix himself. The flaw was so deeply embedded that the solution had to be violently applied to him from the outside by a divine agent. Surviving this level of perfection requires a total, agonizing purification. Isaiah emerges from the fire with his guilt stripped away, prepared for what comes next. The heat subsides. The smoke begins to settle. And into the ringing silence, the disembodied voice of the Lord finally speaks, throwing out an open, almost casual question. Whom shall I send? Seconds ago, Isaiah was paralyzed, waiting to be vaporized. Now, with the impurity burned away, his posture completely changes. The paralyzing fear is gone, replaced by an intense, highly capable resolve. The trauma of the burning coal was a crucible. It stripped away a terrified bystander and forged a hyper-focused, unshakable agent ready to volunteer. Isaiah stands up and says, "Here am I, send me." The purified prophet is ready. You'd expect him to be sent out to save the nation. Instead, he is immediately handed one of the most frustrating, counterproductive missions imaginable. The instructions are brutal. He is told to go out and actively make the audience's hearts calloused. He is ordered to make their ears dull and their eyes closed. Looking at the actual text here in verse 10, it explicitly tells Isaiah to cause this spiritual blindness. But if we check the historical translation notes at the bottom, a crucial detail emerges. This people's heart has become calloused. The rot was already there. Isaiah isn't causing the initial corruption. He is speaking truth to a society that has aggressively decided to ignore it, and forcing them to repeatedly hear a message they refuse to accept will only permanently cement their hostility. The prophet's actual job is incredibly bleak. He isn't there to successfully persuade anyone. His relentless preaching acts as a catalyst, finalizing a judgment that the society has completely brought upon itself. Realizing the gravity of this, Isaiah asks how long this futile mission will last. The answer gives a timeline of absolute devastation. He must preach until the geography itself is wiped clean. Every structure is slated for removal. Houses will be deserted, cities will collapse, and the fertile fields will be ravaged until the entire nation dries into a massive empty wasteland. Yet at the very end of this horrific forecast, there is a strange botanical metaphor. Even after a massive oak tree is violently hacked down and destroyed, a stump remains in the earth. Buried deep inside that seemingly dead, severed stump is the holy seed. It's a tiny, indestructible remnant of the nation that survives the purging fire. You cannot build a renewed society on top of deeply corrupted structures. The rot has to be entirely leveled. True, resilient hope only begins to grow from the bare, purified foundation left behind after everything else has been stripped.